It's just before midnight on November 9, 2002. You're sitting in a dorm apartment at Meadow Court on the campus of St. John's University in Collegeville, Minnesota. It's a Saturday night. 6 or 7 students are playing poker. The campus outside is dark and cold. There are 2,500 acres of woods and lakes surrounding this place, and tonight, they're completely silent. Joshua Guimond stands up. He doesn't say goodbye. He doesn't announce he's leaving. He just stands and walks toward the door. One of the other students later recalls that earlier in the evening Josh had implied he had somewhere to be. The door closes. His dorm, St. Mauer House, is a 3-minute walk away. A straight path across a campus he has walked hundreds of times. He knows every step. He never arrives. By any measure, Joshua Guimond was exactly the kind of person whose future seemed certain. Born in Redwood Falls, Minnesota, raised in Maple Lake, he had been voted class president and valedictorian of his high school class of 2000. He was voted most likely to succeed. He wanted to be a lawyer, then a congressman, maybe, someday, president. His friends and family believed every one of those things was possible. At St. John's University he was an honor student majoring in political science, a member of the Pre-Law Society's mock trial team, and a baritone in the wind ensemble. He was 20 years old, a junior, and the kind of student professors remembered. On the night of November 9, 2002, he walked away from a poker game and into one of Minnesota's most enduring cold case mysteries. 2 witnesses reported seeing Joshua around 12:15 to 12:30 a.m. on November 10, walking on a bridge near Stump Lake, between Meadow Court and his own dorm. That sighting is the last confirmed trace of Joshua Guimond. His friends realized something was wrong the following afternoon when he failed to appear for a mock trial debate. He hadn't called anyone. He hadn't sent any messages. His car was still on campus. His key card had not been used to access his dorm room after he left the party. When his family and friends reported him missing, the Stearns County Sheriff's Office launched a search. But the direction that search took, and the tunnel vision that defined it, would frustrate Joshua's family for the next 2 decades. The first 24 hours are the most critical, and they just kept saying, "He's in the lake." Investigators focused almost exclusively on Stump Lake and the other bodies of water on campus. Divers went in. The National Guard searched the 2,500-acre wooded area. The search didn't formally begin until 2 days after Joshua was last seen. And critically, investigators did not seriously consider foul play for years. The lake theory has since been officially put to rest. That theory, I think, can be put to rest. In the weeks after Joshua disappeared, a private bloodhound tracked his scent from the party apartment, past Stump Lake, past his own dorm, and directly to St. John's Abbey. The monastery on the St. John's campus, where monks who were also professors lived and worked, had recently become the center of a major sexual abuse scandal. In October 2002, just weeks before Joshua disappeared, St. John's had settled a dozen lawsuits regarding abuse by monks. Joshua had discovered the scandal. His friends and family say it outraged him. Searches related to it were on his computer. Also on his computer, 28 photographs of unidentified men, and accounts on Yahoo Personals. Investigators found these items, and sat on them for nearly 20 years before releasing them to the public. Days before the Unsolved Mysteries episode aired in 2022, the Stearns County Sheriff's Office released the 28 images, along with a plea to the public for help identifying those pictured. The Sheriff's Office had those images since at least 2008. Also on campus the night Joshua disappeared, a man in an orange Pontiac Sunfire, spotted in areas known for hookups, reportedly dropping off other men. The mysterious driver was eventually located, but he had the Pontiac Sunfire destroyed before investigators could properly search it. 3 other male college students disappeared in the same 10-day window. Christopher Jenkins vanished from the University of Minnesota on November 1st. Michael Noel vanished from the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire on November 6th. Both were later found in bodies of water. Some investigators suspected a serial predator. A task force was never formed. Joshua has never been found. The Joshua Guimond case presents a behavioral puzzle defined less by what Joshua did and more by what the institutions around him did, and failed to do, in the hours, days, and years that followed. Start with Joshua's behavior on the night he disappeared. The departure without saying goodbye is the detail that most people fixate on, but behavioral analysis suggests it is the least significant element. As one person present at the party noted, it's kind of like, you don't need to say goodbye. I mean, we're all in college, and if you're ready to go home and go to bed, you go. Unremarkable departures are the norm at college parties. Nothing in Joshua's behavior that evening suggested distress, intoxication, or any intention to go anywhere other than his dorm room. The phrase, somewhere to be, the implication he made earlier in the evening, is more diagnostically interesting. It implies a plan, an appointment, or an expectation that someone or something was waiting for him. Whether that was a person, an online connection, or simply an intention to study in his room cannot be determined from the available evidence. The institutional behavior is where the behavioral analysis becomes most damning. The Stearns County Sheriff's Office's fixation on the lake theory represents what forensic investigators call premature closure, the adoption of a single explanatory framework so early in an investigation that contradictory evidence is systematically ignored or deprioritized. When the bloodhound trail led to the Abbey rather than to the lake, that lead should have restructured the entire investigation. It didn't. When the orange Pontiac Sunfire was identified as suspicious, it should have been impounded immediately. It wasn't. When 28 photographs of unidentified men were found on Joshua's computer along with online dating profiles, those images should have been released within weeks. They weren't released for nearly 20 years. Brian Guimond spent 20 years trying to obtain his son's investigative file through the courts. He lost his lawsuit. The Stearns County Sheriff's Office maintains its investigation has been thorough. More than 200 leads have been generated since the Unsolved Mysteries episode aired in 2023. None have produced answers. Joshua Guimond was valedictorian of his high school class. He was going to be a lawyer. He was going to be a congressman. He left a poker game at midnight to walk 3 minutes back to his dorm. He was 20 years old. His father is still waiting. The case is still open.